Good morning. Welcome to Don Allphin on Fishing. This week I'm at Lake Powell. I'm practicing and eventually fishing a tournament here, and I'm hopefully going to be able to talk a little bit about how you find fish in the springtime, what you do, the kinds of bait you use, and so today we're going to be trying a lot of different things, fishing a lot of different depths, just looking for the fish, and hopefully we'll be able to catch a few, and I hope you enjoy this this episode of Don Allphin on Fishing. Thanks for watching.
You know, I started this video with good audio, but the audio left, so I'm just doing a voiceover. This first little fish came on a little red crankbait. I threw a shad-colored crankbait and a red crankbait, and this particular day with the overcast conditions, the red crankbait worked much better than the shad. I caught a couple of 3 fish on the shad, but I caught more fish on the red crankbait. That was a nice smallie, about 1.5 pounds to 1.75 pounds. And you know, these fish came basically on the outside edges. It was really a winter bite, to be honest with you. The water temperature was 46 to 48 degrees. At the very, very most, 45 at some point, and so it was kind of one of those things that when the fish hit, it was almost a surprise. Sometimes they took it right at the boat. Sometimes they took it midway back on the retrieve. But I was fishing hard. I mean, this was rainy. It was a rainy, cold day. Not a lot of wind, but it was really not conducive to the kind of fishing I really, really like to do. Although overcast conditions, I'm sure I caught more fish because of the overcast conditions than if it were a bluebird day with that kind of temperature. I moved around quite a little bit. I went to 4 or 5 different cuts from Hansen down to Halls, and so I moved around a lot just looking for fish. And you got to realize that what I'm trying to do is not just a crankbait. I had a crankbait tied on, I had a jerkbait tied on, I had a drop shot tied on, I had a spinnerbait tied on, and I had a jig tied on. And so that's those, and a tube. So those were the rods that you see on the deck there. But you know, in the beginning of the day, it was a reaction bite, and they hit the crankbait, and so this is just another one of those crankbait fish. All of these were cookie cutters between 1.5 pounds and just under 2 pounds. So all of these fish were coming that way, but it was really interesting for me because some of them were on the outside edge and some of them were in the middle of the cut, which surprised me because they should have been on the outside almost exclusively, but they weren't. So I was trying to figure out whether it was still winter, whether it was coming springtime. So to have those smallies be that aggressive on a crankbait that early was to me a little bit shocking. Now, switching gears, you obviously see I'm making a different retrieve here. This is a jerkbait that I like to throw in the springtime, and it catches stripers as fast as almost you can throw. I don't have any of these on film. I had several of them on film, but I didn't include them in this video. But notice that my retrieve is 1, 2, 3, and get it down as far as it's going to go. Then I hesitate and stop. The colder the water, the slower I go with my jerkbait. And it seems to work really well for me, and I really, really enjoy doing it that way. Notice that this particular fish hits almost at the boat, just within about 3 to 4 yards in front of the boat. Sometimes that's what happens with these fish. They follow. So if you don't have your polarized sunglasses, of course this was a little bit murky water, but I could still see the fish come up. And so watching your lure all the way back in is very, very, very important. Now this fish is kind of a little bit of a comedy of sorts. This is early afternoon, and I'm throwing the jerkbait again, and I haven't had a lot of success with the jerkbait in the area that I was fishing, but nevertheless, you still throw it. So I was switching between a jig and a crankbait and the jerkbait. But I make a long cast to a little submerged island, and boom, there's a fish. Now, this is the doughhead that sometimes I am when I'm getting a fish in the boat. Notice as I pull it in, it won't come in. Had the drag set a little loose because I was fishing a really non-forgiving line. Had some basically a 30-pound braid, and I had, I think, 15-pound mono, or not mono, but fluorocarbon leader, and so I had the drag set to light, so it just hit the side of the boat. Didn't hurt the fish, but thankfully. But and then I realized that he had just swallowed that thing, so I had to stop at that point, take good care of the fish, and go back and get the pliers and make sure we got him safely, set the hook safely out. And then I measured him, weighed him,
that's a 3,
and
2,
that was
4.
a 3.5 pounder.
Pretty nice fish on the
3.24 is what it actually
Really
was.
nice.
And that was exciting to see, because that was the biggest fish of the day. And I felt really good after seeing that fish, that as the week progressed and as we got closer to the tournament, that I'd probably catch more fish and be able to hone in a little bit on trying to catch largemouth versus smallmouth because of the size difference. Then, of course, I switched to a jig back and forth. So these are a couple of jig fish, and that I caught, and all I was doing with the jig is trying to flip it and pitch it. I was very close to the shore. I wasn't making long casts. I was just flipping it, and I tried to get right in and among the rocks, and whenever I'd come across a pod of fish, I mean, they were so fast, and these smallies were just so aggressive. You can just imagine how fun that was to catch those smallies, and I got several of those. The largemouth were a little bit,
smallie on the jig.
pulling a disappearing act at this particular point. I caught 4 or 5 nice largemouth on the jig, but they were few and far between. But this whole idea of what I'm doing here is, this is the first day I've been on the water in 2019, preparing for this tournament. I was here 2 weeks previous, catching stripers and doing some other things, but this was the first time that I had actually really concentrated on bass the whole time. And it's the early part of March, and
it's 167.
and so
I don't know if the camera
realizing
can see
that,
but it says 167.
I had to try to figure out what stage the fish were, and that's what I hope that everybody does when they're trying to figure out in the springtime what the fish are going to do. So are they going to be deep? Are they going to be shallow? Are they in winter mode? Or are they in pre-spawn mode? Are they staging for the spawn? So that means, are they in the outside edges of coves? Are they halfway back in the coves? Are they on rock? Are they on weed? Whatever. Anyway, listen, thanks for watching. This particular video right here is just specifically to show you that everybody misses fish. And I had this beautiful bite on a jig, and I missed it. And but listen, thanks for watching. I sure appreciate you guys staying tuned. I finally got a little bit better editing software, and so hopefully I'll get some of my videos up and running in the next few weeks, and get caught up with you for 2019. Anyway, thanks for watching, and glad to have you subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and we'll have more videos in other places around the state very, very soon. Thanks again for watching, and you'll watch me miss. Oh, there it is. Lost the last fish. Thanks for watching.